How do I open a talk in a way that immediately grabs attention? You've got 10 seconds to make them care. And after that, they're checking their phone, they're scanning their room, or they have mentally checked out. The opening of your talk doesn't just start the story, it determines whether they even hear it. So today I'll show you exactly how to grab attention from the first line. Hi, I'm Dr. Anna Thomas. I'm a physician, professional keynote speaker, two-time TEDx speaker, founder of expertspeakers.org, and a world-class certified speaker coach. I help professionals turn their expertise into talks that open real doors. Most experts think the key to getting paid to speak is landing the right stage. But sustainable speaking income doesn't come from random stages. It comes from following the right path. That's why I created a free masterclass called The Secret Path that expert speakers use to get paid again and again and again. In it, I'm going to show you how expert speakers think differently about stages, why some talks create momentum while others lead to nowhere, and how to use speaking strategically instead of guessing. When you register, you'll also get my Speaker Strategy Decision Kit to help you map your next step. The link to register is in the description below, and while you're there, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future trainings. Now let's get into how to open strong. Your opening isn't just an introduction, it's your first impression. And in speaking, impressions aren't formed in 3 minutes. They're formed in the first 30 seconds. So here are 3 opening strategies that instantly command attention, and they work across industries and settings. First, ask a disruptive question, not a rhetorical one, a real, emotionally charged, thought-provoking question. For example, what do you do when the people who depend on you are the reason you're burning out? That kind of opening pulls the audience inward. It invites reflection. It creates some personal stakes. Ask something that they can feel, not just something that they can answer within 5 seconds. The second way is to start with a vivid moment, not your full story, just a snapshot that drops them right into the middle of the scene. For example, instead of giving the whole backstory, put them right in the middle. I was standing outside the boardroom, sweating through my blazer, rehearsing a presentation I had already forgotten. That kind of opening, it creates immersion. They know that you're in a story, and now they're waiting to hear what's coming next. The story shows, not tells, and that builds rapport. So pick a moment where the tension is high in the story and the emotion is real, and drop the audience right in that moment. The third way is to challenge the room with a bold statement. Sometimes the fastest way to gain attention is to challenge a belief respectfully, but clearly and boldly. For example, most leadership talks are a waste of time, and here's why. That kind of opening signals confidence, it resets some expectations, and it makes people listen and lean in, even if they disagree. Only use this when you can back it up, of course, and then guide them to that insight, not an argument. Openings aren't just about warming up, they're about waking up the room. And when you do that with questions and stories or boldness, then they start to pay attention. So the first 10, 30 seconds of your talk, decide whether the rest of your talk even gets heard. So don't waste that moment thanking the audience or thanking the host or reciting your resume. Start with something that matters, that they'll lean in for the rest of your talk. So if you want to grab attention fast, ask a question that makes them think, drop them into a vivid moment of your story that makes them feel, or say something bold that makes them listen and pay attention. Which opening strategy do you want to try next? Comment below. I'd love to hear what you're working on. If you're working on the beginning of your talk, your next step is to work on the end. So remember to watch, how do I make people remember me after I leave the room? It will help you close strong, leave impact, and become the speaker they quote and they remember and they share after the event. Remember, you're an expert with a message that matters. Let's make sure it gets seen, heard, and remembered. I'll see you in the next one.